Welcome back, dear viewers, and our guest this evening. She's Dr. Latifa Albusairi, Clinical Language Sciences expert. Dr. Latifa, good evening to you, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on Hala Kuwait.
Good evening, thank you for having me.
It's always our pleasure. So we're really wondering, this noble field, you are having this experience and this certificates and a lot of experience in it. It is the career in speech language. What inspired you, or let's say, what made you, motivated you to pursue a career in speech language pathology?
It was actually by default. So I went through quite a few different specialties at university. But what struck me with clinical language sciences is that it's very humanitarian. It's dealing with people one-on-one. And more often than not, you do see good results with the family members or the client themselves.
Sometimes it's challenging before you start or planning to start a PhD, how to write the proposal, having contacts with different universities all over the world. So it's really challenging this time and this level, how you can compare which university is suitable for you and which university they feel you are suitable to them. It was really challenging back then. So when it comes to your PhD in clinical clinical language sciences, what was your focus of research?
My specific field is children with autism, and the subspecialty is looking at narrative skills in relation to anxiety levels with these children. So in terms of anxiety levels in relation to narrative, if we were to take a child who has autism, and they are nonverbal, which means that they cannot communicate using language and speech, usually their anxiety levels, if they were able to be measured, would be low. But on the other hand, if we have children who have autism, officially diagnosed, and they are verbal, so they can communicate using speech and language, their anxiety levels are usually higher. And the discrepancy in that, or the explanation behind that, is that awareness. So when you have cognitive awareness, you kind of understand your shortcomings, and you more often will compare yourself to your peers, ergo you get anxiety.
And what about the two main challenges? People claim children with autism, they face two main challenges. I mean communication and language. How can children with autism overcome or face these challenges, including language and communication?
So when we talk about autism, it's very broad, okay, and it's very heterogeneous, and the severities are, again, it's a wide range. So we've got mild, moderate, severe, and some that are profound. When we come to determining what kind of language program this child will get, it's very focused and it's very individual. So we would look at every single case. We would evaluate from A to Z. So we would evaluate their play skills, their language skills, their speech skills, if they were present, and their nonverbal behavior. So do they point, do they gesture, do they use eye contact or not? And based off of that assessment, a tailored intervention program would be made. Some children would go on to have intensive speech and language therapy, behavioral therapy, occupational therapy, among other things. Others would be referred to augmentative alternative communication, and that is using devices or pictures, images to communicate.
Let's focus more, doctor, on the spectrum and the anxiety and language. How can people with anxiety, or how do anxiety and language interact in children on the spectrum?
So if I were to talk about specifically my specialty, I was measuring narrative skills, so how children tell stories. And the way that you and I are communicating right now is essentially telling stories. We have a start, and we have a middle, and we have an end, and we have details in between that put that story together. Within my research, we found that those who had high anxiety levels with autism also had poor narrative skills. So their ability to retell a story, whether it's fictional or it's actually happened to them, is poorer compared to their peers. And that would impact their ability to socialize, and that's a really important one. When you sit with people and when you communicate with people, you're essentially telling stories about you, you're sharing things about yourself, and you share it in a story format. If that is impaired, that's going to affect your social place within society, within your peers, friends, family members, and so on. And that was the link. So their anxiety could also stem from their lack of ability to communicate properly.
Exactly. And doctor, you do detection, let's say, treatment and consultation with children with different causes when it comes to language, autism, anxiety, and many other issues they face. But of course we know about that. But first we have a report to share with you, the viewers. Then we'll be back with Dr. Latifa. Stay with us. We're back, dear viewers, with our guest this evening, Dr. Latifa Albusairi, clinical language sciences expert. Welcome back, doctor, and we still have a lot of things and topics we talk about. And one of the most important factors, or let's note that children with autism and different language issues or anything related to what you have treatment for, they won't come to you by themselves. They will come with their parents.
Yeah.
So how about the family involvement and the treatment plans you do and plan with the children?
So definitely family involvement is a priority. Whether we're dealing with children or whether we're dealing with adults who would be brought in by their children. So it's not just about parents, it's about family involvement. If we were to consider the amount of time that a speech language pathologist were to spend treating a client, regardless of their age and their disorder, it would go up to, let's say, maximum of 5 hours per week. What about all the rest? So all the rest is where the parents and the family and the siblings and the children come in. We may have them involved within home programs or via homework, or actually training the family members and how to implement specific aspects of treatment at home to speed up the recovery process or the developmental process.
From academic articles, academic journals, and from attending conferences and seminars, and many ways to have this up to date when it comes to neuroscience, we'd like to know more about your way or your method to keep up with the latest developments in neuroscience and language therapy. Tell us.
So continuing education is an essential part of, I think, any specialty. With speech language pathology, new things, new research is always popping up. So you have to follow the evidence-based practice. So evidence-based would be the well-established and well-founded centers that cater to speech language therapy services, whether we're talking about assessment or treatment or continuing education for professionals. So I do my best to make sure I'm up to date on that.
Exactly. So, the viewers, we all know that Dr. Latifa, she is a clinical language expert, science expert, and let's not forget she's also having her vacations, her free time, and her space to focus on her hobby. And let's mention her unique hobby. You have a unique hobby regarding or involvement in woodworking. That's really great, and it's involving also in your interest in carpentry and being a pathologist on the other side and being in carpentry. It's something unique and different. So tell us about it, please.
I've always liked to work with my hands, and I firmly believe that a person has to have a hobby outside of their job. So as much as I love my job, as much as I love teaching at the university, there has to be a way to make sure my creative energy is directed somewhere else. And that's how carpentry started. So I grew up, and my mother was always someone who was doing, odd jobs around the house. And she's the first person who actually gave me a drill and had me drill holes into the walls to hang up frames. And I would say that would be my first foray into DIY. But then there was a brief period where I stopped. I got married, had kids, studied, and then Corona happened, and I went back to it.
Well, still you're having this enthusiasm and passion when it comes to woodworking and carpentry. We can see it from your answer, doctor. We'd like to know more Let's go time traveling, and it comes to the first piece you ever made. Tell us more about this.
So that was during Corona, and it was before, I want to say, Eid al-Adha.
No one believes it 5 years ago.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
We still remember it's 2 months ago.
Yeah, my goodness, can you imagine? It was 5 years ago when we were in lockdown. So it was during lockdown that, you know, time kind of stretches in front of you, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the future holds. And we're stuck in the house. My husband has a garage with power tools. The wood was available. And I didn't want to just do any like random shopping. I couldn't do any shopping. So I decided, why not build a dollhouse for my children? At the time I had two, Balqis and Adam. And that was the first piece I made. And if you were to look at it now, we still have it. It was a really bad job, like a really, really bad job. But the fact that they still use it, and they talk about keeping it for their kids, that's one of the things that keeps me going, and like it holds a really special place in my heart.
They're proud of you, of this work
I like to think that they are.
Exactly, and we saw, mashallah, your beautiful children backstage with us here in the studio, and being a busy mother with, mashallah, 3 kids, and having your own profession, being a doctor also. How do you find time for woodworking?
I kind of have to carve it out. It's not easy. I know, you know, when we talk about social media, because I share this journey on social media, they say it's less than 1%, and that's very factual. It's just I'm only sharing less than 1% of what I do. And most of the times I would put carpentry to the side, and I would focus on work and the kids in the house. And after they're asleep, if I have the energy, then I would go into the workshop and I would do a bit of things. But it's not a walk in the park. It's not. I just don't want people to think that, you know, that title when they say super mom. I don't appreciate it, because I don't think I'm a super mom. I'm just managing day by day. So some days I've got it, some days I don't.
Believe me, doctor, you're doing, mashallah, really great when it comes to being a super mom, mashallah.
Thank you.
So when it comes to the subject of you created a dollhouse, your children are really appreciating. I'm pretty sure the boys, they want to have a doll or a creation of a robot or a car. They're asking you maybe for that, but what kind of pieces you enjoy as Dr. Latifa herself, she enjoys the most creating?
I usually look at what we're missing in the house. So most of the time it comes out of a sense of need. So we need a dining table. I didn't want to pay that much money when I looked at the market, and I'm like, let me make it. We needed a bit of a side bench or a side table, and like, okay, let me make it. So more often than not, it's something that I need in the house. Or if I don't make it from scratch, then I would buy it secondhand, and I would, you know, make it more to my liking.
And how do you feel about it when you search and create the things you like the most?
It's exciting. You know, there's definitely. So sometimes I feel like it's a burden, because it's very lengthy. It's a very lengthy process. But I always remind myself that the final product, when I reach the end, that's when I'm going to feel good about all the hours that I spent and all the time that I spent working on this. And that motivates me. Also the kids motivate me, because they come up with these great ideas and I try to implement them.
Exactly. Kids can be motivating and encouraging and proud of you. Sometimes they can be curious, especially when you do something and you work on something and do any specific project. Sometimes you're on the edge of ending something and they want to be involved in it. So we'd like to be positive about that, and how children get involved or help you with your projects.
Okay, so seeing that I work with power tools, they're dangerous, they're scary, they're loud. I set boundaries, so there have to be boundaries.
That's great.
And they do not come into the workshop area unless me or their father or the nanny's with them.
That's great.
And if they want something, they can ask for it, that's fine, but they know not to touch the tools. That being said, I do like them to participate. So if there's something to cut and I know it's safe, then I will let them cut with me. If there's something to glue, which is very simple, I let them glue. If there's something to drill, I would call one of them in and I would let them drill. Okay, it's a bonding experience for us.
Do they like it? Do you feel like they like it, your children, the woodworking?
Yeah,
All of them?
I think they love it. I think it's become normal for them. If you were to ask, I mean, maybe you should ask them, but if we were to ask them directly, I think they think it's absolutely normal that mum does all these carpentry things while
They're really
dad
proud.
does the fun stuff. Like my husband, he takes care of the outings and the fun stuff with the
That's
kids,
great.
but I do the power tool stuff, and that's normal for them.
And what about the emotional side? What does woodworking give you, doctor, emotionally and mentally, that complements your scientific work? Of course, you go to the office, you go teach your students, you have people for seeking consultation from your behalf. So how does this fuels you mentally and emotionally?
You know, life is stressful. Whether you've got kids or you don't have kids, whether you've got a tough job or you don't have a tough job, like life is constantly throwing things at you. And carpentry is my happy place. My workshop is my happy place. I mentioned that I usually wait for the children to sleep before I go and work, but I absolutely love it when they come in and they tinker with me. It's a place where, because I always have like so many ideas and I need them to come out. And when I go into the workshop and I open the book and I start drawing, it's a relief. It's a sense of relief.
That's great. So what about what specifically inspired you or motivated you to start carpentry? And do you follow any particular design styles or woodworking traditions you always like to try or apply?
You know, I think that's something that I would like to delve into deeper, like specific techniques. But at the moment, I'm self-taught. So I usually do go on YouTube if there's something specific, like a specific joint or a specific cut that I want to learn how to make. I can either ask the experts who are in Kuwait, or I go online and I would research how it's done, and then I would do my best to implement it.
So with that experience you just mentioned about carpentry and woodworking, we can imagine, me and our viewers now at this moment of the interview, that mashallah you can start a business when it comes to woodworking and also carpentry. So have you ever thought of turning it into business or a public exhibition for everyone to see and share?
Well, when I consider my social media, I feel like that's my public foray into with carpentry. This is my way of sharing it with everybody, and encouragement. In terms of business, I'm very reticent to do anything now because I know it's going to take a lot of time and energy. Generally, I don't have that. I've got young kids, so I'm prioritizing. Is that the dream? Definitely. Is there a goal in the future? Absolutely. Now, no. Now I'm focusing on educating the children, raising them, doing my job, and we'll see what happens.
Definitely.
In the future,
We are
inshallah.
really thankful to you, Dr. Latifa, and me and our dear viewers. I believe we agree that we are having an interview with a young lady who's having this PhD and inspiring people when it comes to woodworking and carpentry. And most importantly, you're having this noble quest when it comes to helping children and adults when it comes to different language obstacles and many other things related to the clinical language science. It's really a noble quest you're doing, Doctor. So we would like to have one final advice from your behalf. Of course, you inspired a lot of our dear viewers this evening, and especially our dear women watching us, dear ladies watching us this evening. So what advice you have for others, especially women who are interested in woodworking but don't know where to start?
I would say that fear is a common denominator holding a lot of us back. So fear of not knowing where to start, fear of not knowing who to ask, fear of maybe hurting yourself if you go into carpentry because you're using power tools. I would say take it step by step, go to the right people, ask the right questions, do your research. YouTube has an abundance of resources, and write down your plans. Like if you have a long-term goal where you want to be, then make them into short-term goals, and then once you achieve those short-term goals, it will be a lot easier to get to that long one.
Well, we're really thankful to you, Doctor, for being this evening with us on Hala Kuwait. It's always a pleasure to have you, and thank you for the valuable information you shared with us.
And
we wish you the best of luck with the future endeavors, and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The viewers we just had with us, Dr. Latifa Albusairi, clinical language sciences expert. It's such a great episode, especially when it comes to the woodworking also. So let's go now and share with you our third report of the evening. It's close to the arts you shared with us. It's about sculpture. Let's have a look at it. Be right back. Stay tuned.